Hello, everyone, and welcome to our in-depth education for today. My name is Tanya Cross, and we have the next 20 minutes or so to explore a new topic which can help you to actualize your potential as a coach. And this can also be helpful for anyone who's also a growth mindset individual as well. So, today we are covering a topic which is called Not Only Inspired. This topic is part of a bigger series of topics that we cover, and it's called Do Shit Work. And so what I mean by do shit work is sometimes it's not doing shit work like your work is shit. It's actually doing work that is not fun. It's really difficult. It's boring, and to do shit work, because sometimes we can live under this illusion that we have to be inspired every time we go to work, especially if we are a business owner and we are doing work for ourselves. And so today we're going to cover 3 points, and we're going to cover the inspiration illusion, so why focusing only on inspiration is very unrealistic and also limiting in your growth. We're also going to cover business is boring, and so the reality of business, it is boring. It's hard, boring, difficult, and it is also necessary work for long-term success. And then the last thing we're going to cover is discipline over inspiration. So how can you use discipline as the leverage for you instead of not just inspiration, to really help you to progress forward and to achieve. If this is something that's a topic for you and you are resonating, going, oh, that's me, then share below, hashtag live if you're watching live, hashtag replay if you're watching replay. If you want the resource, we do have a evaluation for you to do to see where are you sitting in terms of your ability to wade through some of the difficulties and do shit work. And actually we're going to evaluate your grit factor. And so we're going to go through that in the session today as well. So if you want the download, type in inspired below, or if you're watching the replay, it is just in the download button there. So today, if we look at not only inspired, this really refers to this understanding that we might come into this world and really want inspiration. We want to have this inspiration that runs through our body. We feel it when we're around people who are inspired. We know that it's important. We know that it's maybe a secret ingredient into why some people can be successful, but we can struggle sometimes when we use it as our sole driver for success in business, because a balance of inspiration and discipline is actually what's needed to be able to grow business, to tackle some of the mundane and boring aspects of business, and also for your long-term success. Because if we look at the reality of inspiration, we're not going to have inspiration every single day, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, or just even every single day. It's like, how do we get through and overcome some of these dynamics then when we're not feeling inspired? And so why this is important for you as a coach is because many coaches and also entrepreneurs fall into this trap of believing that they can only do what inspires them, or they only want to do what inspires them. And we then have to delegate the rest out. Now, that can then create this illusion around hard work, discipline, consistency, and that they aren't as important, that inspiration is more important. And that can lead to really unrealistic expectations on yourself, on your business, the people who work for you. And so the truth is, like, building a business requires you to do tasks that are difficult, that maybe are outside of your scope of what you love to do or what you're great at. And they are necessary in order for you to grow and sustain your business. And especially if you're maybe at the beginning stages of business, you tend to find yourself doing a lot more of the things you don't really love. And maybe later on in business, if you've got enough resources, and then you can start delegating, there's aspects that you can free your time up to do more of what you love, but there's still aspects of the business that you're going to have to do because of many reasons. And how do you be comfortable with doing not only inspired work? So what happens when you embrace this dynamic of not only inspired? So when you appreciate that work, you're more likely to stick to something if you know that part of it's going to be tough, that it's going to be challenging, and that you don't need to be inspired to be able to do it. And to be able to work through the tedious and the hard dynamics that come with business. You're going to be able to embrace the full spectrum of business. So let's say a business was an individual and they show you all sides of themselves. Well, it gets to show that you are appreciative and you can lean into the different aspects of your business, the boring, the mundane, and still embrace it anyway. Because sometimes some people have a feel good business. They do things because they feel good, because I'll wake up in the morning, I'll do what I feel like doing today, but you're not doing what's most important, highest priority to move the needle forward in the business. That's a feel good business. That's a hobby. It's not a business. And so what will happen is to be able to then fully embrace this, not only inspired, it will actually help move your business forward more because of this and embracing this dynamic. And we can also understand that inspiration is fleeting. It isn't something we have all the time. So we want to build a business around that discipline and consistency rather, and that will help us give us greater achievement and impact that we have in the world as well. Okay, so I hope you're loving this. You want the download I'm going to go through with you soon, which is evaluate your grit factor. How much grit do you have to be able to work through this dynamic of not only being inspired, then type in what is the word that we are using? Inspired. That's it. We'll get it to you today. So let's cover this illusion, which is the inspiration illusion. So this is a dynamic that many coaches fall into the trap, that they should focus on just work that inspires them and working with clients that inspire them. I know I put my hand up. I did this for a while. I just felt like, well, I want to do work that I'm really inspired by. I want to create a program that I'm inspired by. I want to work with clients that I'm inspired by. And the inspiration was almost like the track I used to know I was on track. It was like if I had inspiration, yeah, this is working. And if I didn't have inspiration or I was lacking inspiration for whatever reason, it was like this sign inside, well, I'm off track. And so while it's a powerful force within us and it's something that we really want to awaken inside of us, especially in business, we don't want to not have it at all, but to have this transcendental experience of inspired, which is that energy runs through you, within you, and it's like a fire being built inside. We're really only going to have that point 0.0001% of the time, like such a fraction of the time. Like we have it for a moment. And so true inspiration, where you're not in your senses and you've equilibrated your mind, that true inspiration. And so many coaches start their journey with this spark of inspiration and this enthusiasm that runs through them. And this spark has then this beautiful rush of ideas, all this like dynamic of who you can serve, want to build something really beautiful. And it fuels you through the moments in business in the beginning that are challenging. But this is where the illusion begins. And this is where the illusion it starts to manifest more, and the inspiration illusion. Because while inspiration is powerful, it's also fleeting. And so if we believe that it's our driving force in why we do it, then the inspirational illusion is we wait for that next wave of action and next wave of inspiration to be able to take the action that we need. It's like I want to go and write a book, but I've got to have the inspiration that runs through me to go write the book. I remember seeing years ago James Patterson, and he came and he was at the Sydney Writers Festival, and I was in Town Hall in Sydney, and this young girl asks James, what's your advice for a budding young artist and a writer? He said to write. That's it. To just do it every day, to write every day. Don't wait for that inspiration, is what he's saying, for you to go and take action. Just create that space and do it anyway. So if you're a coach, you don't wait for the inspiration for you to go and coach. Just start coaching. If you want to go and write a book, start writing. If you want to put a course together, start putting a course together. Like, don't wait for the inspiration to come through. Just create a space to be able to do that. And so we can then be able to build a business. It's very different because we're building it around running a business, doing admin work, doing the consistent social media engagement, whatever it is, the strategy, you're managing finances. We're fueling that, because that's rarely fueled by inspiration. It's fueled by hard work and consistency and showing up, because that's the main thing we have to do, is show up for ourselves. And the inspiration illusion can really trick coaches into really thinking that their work feels hard and boring, and then that's actually wrong or off track. So what we want to be able to do is kind of shift that, so that we can see this illusion, inspiration illusion, that when it shows up and we become too dependent on, when we become too dependent on inspiration, we have to start moving our behavior and our actions to start taking action without needing that creative burst of inspiration to get them. Because imagine how many opportunities have been missed, how many time has been like wasted or not utilized in the best way, and how much frustration you have around your business. But it's only because of this illusion, the inspiration illusion that you have around it, and the dynamics that you think you need to be in order to create and build your business. So what happens if we're able to then make your progress was about being disciplined, and that's where the growths happen, and then as a result of that, it's inspiring. And so it's almost like flipping it. So it's like, do the hard work, put in the work, and then the byproduct of that is the inspiration, as opposed to going, I need the inspiration first for it to come. So I hope you're loving this, team. So part of what we want to be able to do, especially if we're looking at our dynamic around inspiration, is evaluate your grit factor. And so your grit factor is essentially this dynamic which helps you to assess, like, how willing are you to really embrace and handle. I'm just going to add my little face in here. Hey. So how are you going to embrace the dynamic here? And so what you want to be able to do is evaluate. We've got 3 aspects we're going to evaluate in. We've got our coaching ability, we've got our work ability, and also your business ability. It's a traffic light system, red, amber, green. So you're going to go through this. I'm not going to go it now just because there's other things I want to cover with you as well. This is going to give you an opportunity to really evaluate where your grit factor is. If you've got a lot of reds, maybe there's too much needing inspiration, needing something to kind of come through you in order to take action. Maybe if there's more like ambers and greens, amazing, you're willing to kind of do the hard work, but this will give you a great indication. If you've got more reds, maybe there's some kind of actions you can shift and take so that you can move it over to the green. So for example, it's like, I stay committed to clients' growth during plateaus and setbacks. So when a client says, I'm not getting results, I'm not doing something, do you still stick at it, or do you want to avoid it? Is it, do you know when to push and when to pause within your business? Like, do you know how to work through that grit and have grit to work through when you are in your coaching business? So there are some questions there that you can ask and answer in your PDF and your download for today, for you to be able to evaluate your grit factor. It's going to make a difference for you to understand, where are you at, like a little snapshot of where you're at right now with your business, and how much non-inspired work you're prepared to do. So let's look at point 2 now, which is around business is boring. So business and building a business and a successful business is you're going to involve work that's unglamorous. Like, it's all the stuff that you do when no one else is watching. The work, the time that you do before you have a client session, all the finances, your admin, dealing with meetings, writing content, writing newsletters. And so we want to be able to have a look at, at business and be able to build a business and be able to build a business of love. But sometimes we can have building business as this romanticized, amazing journey that's fueled by inspiration, but it's actually not. And so I don't wake up in the morning and go, you know what, I'd love to have like 3 meetings today, and I'd love to be able to do the finances and reconcile the accounts and check different aspects of the business. It's like, I don't even really wake up to inspired to do that. But I love my business and I love being able to grow the business, and so it is an aspect. And so we want to be able to take the opportunities that we get and see what's needed in business, and not only choose what's inspiring or easy, because that shows up sometimes too, but it's actually doing the hard work, leaning into that, just so we can keep our business growing. And so that grit factor is going to give you an amazing opportunity to have a deep dive into that, and really what's going to take for you to be okay with business being boring at times. Like, rather than it being exciting and only doing things that are really interesting, and doing parts of the business that you find most interesting, what would happen if you could grow in the areas of the business that you find boring? So a client I was working with yesterday, one of the things we'd been working over the last 12 weeks was around, one small aspect of it was around finances. Their business partner had actually taken a lot more of the role of finances, and they very rarely had anything to do with it. So it's like, okay, great. So you see that as boring and more mundane, not inspired by it. Yes. Okay, great. Let's lean into that. Because for the very thing that we resist, is that actually if we lean into it, there's so much growth there. So what would happen if you were to lean into more of the aspects that you find boring and uncomfortable or just not interesting? What happens if that was actually your growth path? And given that you're a coach, you tend to have this dynamic where you want to grow. So what happens if you were then able to grow in lots of other areas like finances, in systems and processes, in those areas that you feel most uncomfortable with? What would happen with business if it's like a client comes to you and you see all this uncomfortableness and you're like, oh, we're not going to go there. We're just going to stay in what's inspired. You wouldn't even do it. You would go, we are going there. We are going to go into what's uncomfortable and we're going to shift that. Why wouldn't you do the same for your business? So that is a business is boring that we're exploring today in our topic, which is around not only inspired. So not only inspired is going to help you to be able to actualize your potential as a coach, because that is, in order for you to be able to really truly grow, we want to look at the areas and aspects of business that you're not so comfortable with, or it's not so innate inside of you. And it's like, how do we get you to do shit work in that, like stuff that's not inspiring, and really grow your business and grow yourself in those areas? So the last aspect we're going to cover before we wrap up for today is discipline over inspiration. So discipline can spark that action, and maybe that's inspiration. Sorry, let me start again. With discipline over inspiration, it's actually inspiration that sparks that original idea or sparks the original action that you take. And so what happens is, as we go through discipline, we have the discipline to then to continue to ensure progress. So discipline is what's going to help you to show up when you feel uninspired. It's going to help you create habits in your experience in your mind, so that you can keep doing what you love. So discipline is a very thing that you forward within your business. And so we want to be able to use inspiration as like a catalyst within our business, but use discipline then as the force that keeps us moving forward and actually grounds us in reality as well. And so when we're able to do that, especially as a coach, and the more we're able to grow into discipline and use discipline as the key, we're showing up every single day, we're doing the tough things, we're doing what's difficult. Imagine then the reflection we're going to have with our clients and how different that's going to be with our client dynamic as a result, because we are showing up, we are doing the hard work, and that will also have a ripple effect onto our client dynamic as well. So that is our session for today. I hope that you have loved the session and gotten a lot of value. Love to hear your thoughts below. I understand my relay of the video might have been so great today, so we will have a look into that. So thank you so much, team. I hope you have a beautiful day wherever you are in the world, and I